Hi, my name is Michael Gilmore, and I'm from Whizbang's blog, and it's great to have you with us. Today we have the privilege of being able to speak with Stephen Lieberman. Stephen, it's really good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Michael. You're
Yeah,
you're you're halfway around the world, and yet I can see you perfectly.
exactly right. Here I am in Melbourne, Australia, and you're in Washington.
I'm in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you're in Washington, D.C., and yet we're able to talk to each other like this. Isn't the world a smaller place?
It is a much smaller place, no
Yeah.
question about it.
Yeah, for those people who don't know Stephen, as well as being a great friend of mine, he is one of the industry's leading domain lawyers and also an avid entrepreneur. In fact, I wonder sometimes, Stephen, are you more of an entrepreneur than a lawyer or a bit of both?
I think a bit of both. I think the lawyering is what actually pays for the entrepreneuring, and who knows, maybe that'll switch around one day. But for the moment, it's not.
Fair enough. So what are you up to nowadays?
Well, other than regular legal practice, we've
Yeah,
got two major projects going. One is escrow domains, where
yeah,
we're providing escrow services to the general community for moving domains between person A and person B. And
yeah.
that's at escrowdomains.com or escrow.domains.
Hmm.
And our other project is Digital Candy, which is a brand protection system, and that's at digitalcandy.com.
Can you
And
tell us any more about Digital Candy?
certainly. Excuse me. Digital Candy is a full internet crawl, and it has the ability to find and sort on large numbers of parameters any type of metadata that it finds within any particular website in order to filter down to looking for exactly what you're looking for. It does a lot of the same things as companies like CSC and MarkMonitor, but it does it at a much lower price because we've built all of the technology. So our basic price is $250 a month as opposed to MarkMonitor, which is up in the thousands. And it's presented more as a research tool, but it can do so much more. And I urge you all to take a look at digitalcandy.com, and if you're interested, I'm happy to give you a demo.
Well, fantastic. So it does image analysis as a
It
part of
does
it.
do image
Yeah.
analysis. Yes, it does have the ability to find same, similar, or derivative works of images. So if you have a logo, the Nike swoosh, you could put in the Nike swoosh, put in the word Nike, put in the Nike swoosh, and it will find all the spots around across the internet. I say around the world, but I guess the internet really isn't anywhere particularly in the world.
Yeah.
And present all those websites with all those swooshes on it in order to be able to then sort out, and they could then click on, say, Argentina and say, oh, well, we don't have anything in Argentina, and we'll be able to show them where the WHOIS comes and shows that that entity is from Argentina, and they'll know that there's an infringer of some sort, something of that sort.
Wow. So this is the ultimate tool used by the. Um, can you do motion pictures? Like, can you
We
do
can do
video?
it. We don't have video built into the
Yeah.
application yet, but we have done tests and we are able to do video. Yes.
Okay, so you could then find out who's pirating the various pieces of graphics and all that sort of stuff, as well as video.
Yes. Remember, video is just an image,
Yeah.
just a lot of images. So although it takes a lot more processing power, it certainly can do it just as easily. And we've done numerous tests on video so that we can take a movie, drop it into the system, and it will sort it out and then do cross comparisons against the other videos that it finds on the internet.
Fantastic. Yeah, look, I know we'll talk about some of the legal type things a little bit later on, but what I'm interested in when I talk to fellow entrepreneurs is why do you do
Can't help it. It seemed like a really good idea at the time. It's an impossible thing to stop.
it? Yeah.
A friend of mine and I, a few years ago, decided it would be something really cool to have, that we could do some really cool stuff. And so we started working on the image protection system from the video and image side. It took us a couple of years to get that built, And then we realized that the initial people that we wanted to start going after, the people who had basic copyrights, weren't willing to pay for it immediately or pay high prices. So we sort of switched around and started going after my own clients. And as an IP attorney, I've gone after, I get people to register trademarks, and then after the trademarks are registered, I said, then look, you got to police your trademark. If you don't stop other people from using your mark, then you're sort of giving up your rights. So we switched the application around initially to a search on word marks and allowing people to inexpensively police their marks. And that's what the application is now. We're expanding it out back into solely images, although right now you can take, after you search on the word mark, you can add in a logo on top of it, but it filters search first on the words.
Yeah, but why is it, that's some of the interesting sort of relationships between Digital Candy and your existing legal practice. But why not just stay doing your legal practice? Like, what is it that causes you to say, you know what, this is a really cool piece of technology. I think I want to invest in that. Because a lot of domain owners, they've got great domains, and they're quite often after investors. I know, probably just like yourself, I get asked to invest all the time in domains. And 99% of the time, I say no. So, so what's the story with you? Like, what caused you to think, yeah, this is actually worthwhile looking at?
It's something that I wanted for myself. It's something that I wanted to be able to use for my own clients. At the time when we were looking at the image search capabilities, we were looking at and dealing with a couple of lawsuits pertaining to copyright trolls.
Yeah.
And there was no method for anyone to tell whether they were infringing on someone else's rights as well. The other thing that happened at the time is that I was working with a friend of mine and with the California Department of Education, and they were in the process of moving everything over to iPads for all the schools in California, and they wanted to create all these books that were not just text, and they already had the licenses to the text, but they didn't have any licenses to any of the images that they wanted to use. And they kept saying, oh, well, you know, just use this, use that. And their marketing guy came to me and said, well, how do we clear the rights on all these things? And I said, wow, that's going to be an awful lot of images. It was well over 1,000 images. And I'm like, okay, so how do we figure that out? And that's what came of this. We didn't actually clear the rights on all those images, well, some of them. But what we did get from it is the idea that it would be great to have an application where you could look at any type of image on the internet, right-click on it, and know what the rights were that were associated with that particular image. And that's really where the idea came from. Why one does it? You sort of dive headfirst into things, sometimes not even thinking of what you're doing. And then you're like, oh my God, what have I taken on? And it just sort of snowballs from there. You don't think, oh my God, until a few years later, and, you know, $500,000.
Yeah, that's always a challenge, isn't it? Of how to actually commercialize something, to take that idea to commercial sort of ends and stuff. I think it's interesting that in your use case, to use a technical term, you already had a customer.
Yes,
yeah,
we did.
And by having customers, it made it obviously a lot easier in that process.
It did. You know, we do large numbers of patent applications for people over the years. And that's really the same thing. People are coming to us and they're saying, hi, I've got this great idea. And how do I protect it? So we'll walk them through the process of doing a provisional or a utility or a PCT application, get them patent pending, and then sometimes they'll say to me, well, how do I make money on this? And I'm like, well, you need a marketing person. You really don't want an attorney doing marketing for you. But I'll walk them through some of the basic stuff. We can help them set up a corporation. We can walk them through a lot of that stuff. So it's really, I sort of live in the entrepreneurial world, where I see all these entrepreneurs, and they come in and talk to me every single day, and they say, I've got this great idea, I want to do this. I've got that great idea, I want to do that. One of my favorite clients is a guy who's come up with a bunch of ideas, And one of his ideas that's now not been patented, so I can tell you about it, is basically is something called the bed wedge. And it's a relatively simple idea. It's a way of stopping stuff falling down the side of the bed. And it's triangular with some other stuff on it, piece of foam that's surrounded by some cloth. And it's relatively simple. But he's a wonderful marketing person, and it's something that's really needed. So he's managed to sell tons of these things and get them into major stores. And it shows you that your idea doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
But you do have to have a good plan on how to do marketing. Because if you don't, you're sort of done.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's imagine I'm a domain owner and I have an awesome domain. And I come to you and I say, hey, Stephen, I meet you at NamesCon, because I know you'll be at NamesCon, of course. So I'll meet you. I'll meet you at NamesCon, and I sit down with you over lunch. And I said, guess what, Stephen? I got this awesome domain. I want to launch this business. I would love you to invest in this as well. What's going to what's going to trigger you to say, you know what, that's a great idea. I think I'm going to put my hand in my pocket and I don't know, pull out a wad of money and say, here it is. There it is. There's some money to put into this.
It's hard to, some people have come and said, this is a great domain for resale. I rarely invest in it for anything from that point of view, because there's so many domains out there that are great for resale. It's sort of endless.
Yeah.
A couple of domainers have come to us and said, why don't you invest in us from the point of view of us doing work? And the ones that have said it from the point of view of where there might be something that's patentable, I say, look, do a patent search first. Let's see if it's actually patentable. If it is, then we'll sit down and discuss what would be reasonable. And just by doing a patent search, you actually know it's out there. You have something to compare it against. And ideas that don't have any possibility of intellectual property, and obviously trademarks are too, but trademarks, you can make up anything and it can be a trademark. So that's not really going to be enough, because a trademark without a major marketing idea of some sort is not going to work. So a domainer has to come up with something that's going to either have substantial IP or have an idea behind it that's already got some traction for one to actually consider investing in it. Yeah. Just a domain itself is never going to be good enough, because domains are worth what someone's willing to pay for them. You know, they're not worth any more and they're not worth any less. And while you still are just holding them, they're actually worth nothing until someone offers to hand you a check with a certain amount of cash on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, one of the things, I got very frustrated one time. I read a blog article on this. I said, look, if you want me to invest in something, the number one, I need the elevator pitch. Why should I invest in this in the space of like 15 seconds? Tell me why. Tell me why this is an awesome idea. And if you get past that, then I'll say, give me the one pager. And if it gets past the one pager, then give me the deck. And the deck is like 10 slides backed up by a huge amount of data within the appendix. So I can get the 10-slide summary. Then after that, we can sit down and talk.
Sounds reasonable. You sound like a very careful investor.
Yeah, well, the thing I found I'm interested in is that I'm interested in whether the person I'm about to tip some money into has really thought through the issues.
Sure.
Or is this throwing money at the wall? You know what I mean? If they haven't thought through the issues, then why on earth would I tip money into their business? Like, if they're not, particularly if they're not prepared to tip money in, why should I?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, if they're not willing to put some money into it, then there's zero chance anyone else is going to even consider it.
Yeah,
there's no question about that one.
Yeah, so I remember one time I had these guys. They wanted me to essentially buy their domain business. I won't say it was called, and I happened to be traveling through the US at this time, so I went along and I met up with them, and I said, well, can you show me your financials? And they said, oh, we don't have any of those. And I thought, and I thought, Okay, there's no financials. Can you give me your business plan then? And they
They didn't have
said,
that either.
well, you don't have that either. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And I don't know why, I just felt sorry for these guys. So I ended up sitting down and I worked with them, asked a whole series of questions and put together a rudimentary cash flow on the spot.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
and
was really nice of you. I would have bought him a beer and said, "Had a good day."
yeah. So I built it for them. So there I was building it for them, and at the end of it, I said, "Okay, so how much do you guys want?" And they said they wanted this. I said, like in terms of any salaries and that sort of stuff. I said, "Okay, great, I put that in. Is there anything that's missing here?" They said, "No, everything I think is being taken care of." And I said, "How about what do I get?" Like, what do I get out of this? You want me to tip in $100,000 of my children's inheritance into your business, and you're not even considering I'll actually want something from this? Yeah, like of course I didn't invest in it, but
I'm shocked.
yeah, but there's a lot of domain investors out there. I think they may have some great domains. Um, and they may even have some ideas behind those domains of what that can be done. But what they don't have is the skills of how to package it all together. Like you said, get the marketing person.
Totally.
How do they market this and everything like that? Um, like you, I get a lot of people telling me that, hey, this domain is worth a lot of money. Why? You could do these great things with it. And my first reaction is, then why haven't you?
Right. Look, I know lots of people who have some really amazing domains. I
Yeah,
mean, 2-letter and 3-letter .coms that
yeah,
say things. And yeah, they're valuable domain names, and more likely than not, somebody's going to come up and pay them a lot of money for it. And I'm obviously talking about .coms.
yeah, of course.
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be an awful lot harder, you know, PDQ XYZ, you know. You can get a great domain, hi.pdqxyz. Not so much.
Not so much. Not so much.
I don't know if that's a GTLD or not, but
Yeah, yeah. I must admit, like Australia, we do a lot of mining in Australia. Like we basically Australians are really good at growing food and digging up dirt, and then we sell it to people. So use this analogy. We can dig up dirt. We then sell it, say, to the Swiss. And the Swiss make incredibly fine watch springs with it because they've got
mhm,
the technical know-how to do that. And they then sell us watches for like 10 billion times the value of the bit of dirt that we sold them.
right.
And I think a lot of domainers, they're still trying to sell dirt
Well, there's still
rather than
the
grow a
domains
business.
are essentially the dirt. They're the
Yeah,
base. And
yeah,
a domain name can be a generic, or it could be something that's brandable. It's one or the other. And if it's brandable, then yeah, I mean, some brands are going to be easier to sell than others. But
yeah.
without a product behind it, well, you don't have a product. There's nothing there.
Yeah, so it's sort of like, okay, I always suggest to domainers, take one of your domains and build it into a business. Just one.
Sure, but that's a lot of work, and
That's
domainers
a
are still
heck of a
making
lot of
an
work.
awful lot. But and you got to remember, domainers are still making an awful lot of money off just selling the dirt,
Yeah,
selling that domain name to third parties who want to build a business. And if
that's
that's
true.
what they want to do, then God bless, because a lot of my clients, they make money that way, and I'm glad they're making money, because otherwise I'd be out of business.
That's true. So here's a question: Is what do you think is going to happen to the domain industry? Is it in the future like we've got selling, buying, and selling domains? So what's going to happen with the prices? And then you've got traffic domains. So can you sort of, with your experience, share about those sort of things?
Traffic domains, I think the value is going to keep going down. PPC is going to continue to go down, if it can go down any further. And I know you have a lot into PPC. But it's got to, because everyone uses search more and more these days. More and more people are on mobile, and I mean, the number of people I see walking down the street with their phones like this, and or talking into their phones, making do this, do that, find this. That's how people are functioning more and more on this mobile sort of universe. And now they're talking about heads-up displays and augmented reality, and also these, like the Google thing that you talk into, and the Apple thing, the standalone things. So you just sort of talk. I actually just got one of these. What's that? Hue Phillips lights that allow you to automate all of your lights.
Yes.
And I like them a lot, and what's nice about them is they all hook up with Siri. So just the other day, I was coming back to the house. I'd forgotten to turn on the light. I held the button down on Siri, and I say, turn on backlight. And the backlight just went on. It's just pretty cool. But that's the same sort of thing. All the time, like when I'm out with people and lots of other people, I say to Siri, Google whatever subject we're talking about, and it comes up usually with the Wikipedia page. Not that Wikipedia is perfect, but it's certainly better than nothing.
Yeah.
So search is become more and more important, and type-in traffic is becoming less and less important, and therefore PPC is becoming less important. High-end domain names are like .coms are still going to be of great value because, that's what people think. If they're based upon what someone thinks, or they're perfectly brandable for the particular company, those values are going to continue to rise. So high-end .coms, I think the value will continue to go up. Low-end domains, the value is going to continue to go down. And PPC is going to continue to go down as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the PPC is some of the illustrations you've made, like people looking at mobile and all that sort of stuff, should affect the volume of traffic.
Sure.
But what we're seeing is a lot of the volume of the traffic's been offset by new internet users from some of the third world countries and so forth. So the volume of traffic
That's a good point.
is still there. So the question is that traffic still valuable? And how do you actually score the traffic to determine if it is valuable? And that's the challenge, I think.
That is the challenge. That's more your bailiwick than mine, most definitely. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
Are you seeing this new internet traffic coming from new CCTLDs that heretofore were not of great interest?
Yes.
Because that's what I would expect, because
Yes.
as you see parts of Africa and South America
Yeah.
and Asia come in where there really wasn't much traffic, and they're countries that, they've got their new CCTLD, and people we've seen, like with Germany, they love the .des.
Yeah.
It's their country. It makes logical sense. They want something in the country, not something anywhere else. .com is sort of everywhere and anywhere, and sort of U.S.
Yeah, it's actually really important. A lot of people are very focused on .com only, still after all these years, and very focused on US centric and possibly a bit of Europe. But it's very clear that it's getting broader and broader and broader. And there's a lot of people out there who are actively saying PPC is dead. And they have a sound motivation for saying so, because they want to buy up all the traffic. So I do a presentation at quite a lot of the conferences, and I say PPC will die when the valuable traffic is no longer valued by advertisers. But the thing is,
traffic will always be valued by advertisers. The question is, how does the traffic get from point A to point C?
Yeah, so the other thing that we're spending a lot of time on is how to get closer to the end consumer of the traffic, and by bypassing a lot of the intermediaries and things like that, but do it in a scalable way. But yeah, no, it's really interesting. And so you're going to be at NamesCon?
Of course.
We have flying the AP legal flag?
Actually, we're going to be flying the escrow domains flag.
Okay.
AP Legal's been around for a long time, and I love doing legal work. We do lots of domain theft cases on a regular basis, lots of other legal stuff. But we're well enough known that we don't have to advertise all that much, which is a nice thing. Escrow domains is still not that well known. We're getting a substantial amount of escrow transactions, but not enough. So we're trying to push that. So we put up a table at the conference. And of course, obviously, AP Legal stuff will be on the table. Of course, Digital Candy stuff will be on the table. I can't help but promoting all the projects. And of course, I'll be standing there with Shannon, and we'll be talking about whatever anybody wants to talk about, whether it's legal work or brand protection or doing weird different types of escrow transactions, 1031 exchanges, anything you could possibly imagine. We'll talk about it.
I must admit, one of the things I love about conferences like the Domain Conference in Florida and also NamesCon is it's a hub of entrepreneurs, and it's people, and it's just so much energy there. And people like yourself sitting down with you and having the privilege of spending some time, over a drink or something. By the way, for those of you watching this video, if you ever want to go along and have a great conversation, grab Stephen, offer to buy him a drink, and he'll sit there with you.
Forever.
Red wine?
You'll be able to get me to shut up.
Red wine, correct?
Red wine, beer, whatever you like.
Tear it up. Can I say, Stephen, I know we could talk for ages, a lot more just about the internet and about the domain industry and so forth like that. But sadly, our time is wound up. And maybe we can have you back again and we can talk some further. Can I just say it's been a real privilege hearing from you and getting your thoughts on the domain industry, and look forward to seeing you again sometime.
Michael, it's a real pleasure, and I'm sure I'll talk to you just any time you have time.
Not a problem. Okay, great seeing you. See you later then. Bye.
Ciao. Thanks.